So this video is designed to review for exam 3 in microbiology and also give you some instructions on how to take the test, which is Monday, March 30th. Okay, so let me come here. First of all, whoops. Let's get into D2L. If we go into our D2L content page, remember here in chapter 15 is going to be our lecture videos. Don't forget to look at the pregnancy category and then do the CIPRO project and get that loaded into the Dropbox. Okay, we have the daily checklists, just to remind you that I'm going to be posting these every day so you know what's expected of you for each class period. Okay, so exam 3 is coming up. These are the things to do for March 25th. And then just like always, the exam reviews are posted here, and we'll go to exam review 3. Okay, so I wanted to take just a few minutes and kind of recap where we've been since the last test. This one's going to start in chapter 8 and cover chapter 8, 9, 10, and chapter 15. So there's a lot of definitions or terms in this unit. So I would suggest perhaps making some flashcards or note cards with the term on one side and the definition on the other side, and just go through those to help you with the terms, because we have a bunch of definitions here. And then we have some down here as well. Well, number 8 here. Resident versus transient microbiota, emerging versus reemerging. Really, those are just definitions and knowing the difference between those. Signs and symptoms, definitely know that and be able to give examples. Okay, so I think maybe those note cards or flashcards of some sort might really help you as well. Back in chapter 8, we talked about cellular respiration. There's 4 main phases. Remember those. The first one is glycolysis. The last one is electron transport chain. So remember what those are and what order they go in. Okay. ATP yield. At the end of cellular respiration, at the very end, how many ATP does a prokaryotic bacterial cell get from cellular respiration? How many does it get from fermentation? It's quite a bit less. And then you don't necessarily have to know final electron acceptor for fermentation, but definitely know electron acceptors, final electron acceptors for cellular respiration. That one's very important. And then also anaerobic respiration as well. Know for those two. Products of each step. Remember, this is a pathway. So the products of glycolysis, they go on to the next step, or perhaps a step down the road. So make sure you know what those products are and how chemiosmosis produces ATP. Remember, that's part of the electron transport chain, and that's where we're going to get most of our ATP produced. So look over chemiosmosis and how ATP is made using that. Enzymes, remember, those are protein catalysts that are going to speed up enzyme or chemical reactions. So make sure you look over enzymes and what they do, and also how enzymes can be inhibited or slowed down, either through competitive processes or non-competitive or allosteric processes. You might want to also look over the parts of an enzyme as well, like the active site, allosteric site, and so forth. Okay, so some definitions here with number 8. Pathogens, portal of entry. Okay, remember skin, mucous membranes, placenta, things like that. We talked about signs and symptoms. Toxins, what is a toxin? There's different types of toxin, and know the difference between endo and exotoxin. Remember, gram negatives are associated with one of those, so make sure you look that up. Stages of disease process during an infectious disease. So we have like the incubation period, we have a convalescence period. Make sure you know the order in which those occur, and maybe, you know, some basic information about each of those stages. Modes of disease transmission. How is a disease transmitted or infectious pathogen transmitted from one person to the next? There's different types of direct contact, like kissing or touching, and then there's indirect contact, like foodborne, vector-borne. So look up all of those. 5 steps of infection. Okay, what does the pathogen have to do to establish an infection? First thing is to basically attach to a susceptible host cell or tissue. Oops, this is the same, I guess, as number 9, so you can skip that one. Communicable versus contagious, which we got that one duplicated too. Sorry about that. Biological versus mechanical vector. Remember, one vector is going to consist of the lifestyle or life cycle, be a part of the life cycle. Another one is just going to physically carry that. Epidemiology stuff here, endemic, pandemic, epidemic, what are the differences there? What is an HAI, a healthcare acquired infection? Okay, what is that? How do you get it? How do you prevent it? Morbidity versus mortality, some more definitions. Okay, and then here we had standard and also transmission precautions. These are precautions that healthcare workers need to be aware of when they're dealing with patients to prevent certain types of disease spread. Okay, so look that up. Let's see, mechanisms or modes of antimicrobial action. Remember in the antibiotic chapter, I told you there was one particular slide diagram that was going to be really important. Those are those modes of actions. Some more definitions in 23. Look up penicillin and sulfa drugs. We spent a little bit more time on those two, describing how they work and describing their modes of action. So make sure you look very deeply into those two. Okay, describe a couple of ways how microbes can become resistant to antimicrobials. Some ways we can combat resistance, maybe as a patient and as a person in the healthcare field. And then we had some examples of microbes that the CDC lists as an urgent threat that are becoming resistant. So look up examples of those, okay? So if you have specific question on content, please let me know and give me an email or call my office number and I can help you sort that out. Now, to take the exam, we are going to be in mastering. And I'm not sure, I don't really know how to get the exact view that you have, but I wanted to show you a few things here. The exam, I believe you can see it now, but you will not be able to have access to it until Monday, March 30th. Now, after midnight at like 12:01 a.m., you can get into exam 3 and you have until 11:59 that night to complete it. However, you only have, oh, it's not listed here. You only have 50 minutes to complete it. Okay, so once you start, you have 50 minutes to complete the test. You don't have to do it at a regular class time. You can do it at 12:30 in the morning. You can do it at 10:30 at night. As long as it's finished by 11:59 and you stay within that 50-minute time period, okay? So once the timer starts, okay, you'll lose your time if you go and do something else or take a break. Let's see, when time's up, you can't submit any more answers, and then the due date overrides. So if you still have 30 minutes left, but it's 11:59, it's going to just submit it for you. You get 1 try per question. If you forget and don't take the test, well, you're out of luck. So don't forget that. But these items in here in Connect, I wrote each of those questions. Okay, so they're not some of those crazy check all the correct answer questions that you would normally get in a homework assignment. Okay, so I specifically wrote each of these. Some of them are multiple choice. There's matching with the definitions, and there's some true false. I think those are the 3 question types. Oh, and there is a couple short answer. Okay, so I wrote all of the questions and you'll have 50 minutes to complete those. There's 31 questions. Okay, so again, anytime you want on the 30th, you can come in and take the test. Just make sure you sit down and complete it within that 50 minutes. Now, because you only have 50 minutes, you will need to definitely study ahead of time. I'm not designing this and expecting you to sit down and look up all the answers, okay? I don't want you to look up any of the answers. I want you to study and to know the material. But we're going on the honor system, okay? So, hopefully you're learning the material is important to you, and we're not going to have anybody Googling answers and things like that. I will Google the short answer questions, and if yours matches too much what's on the internet versus what we learned in the notes, you probably won't get points for that. So let's keep our integrity and just work hard and study, okay? Um, Again, if you have any questions on the test, the format, anything like that, let me know. And then next Wednesday, we'll begin in the immune system and we'll jump back to chapter 11. Okay, so good luck on your test and we will be back in touch.